Step into the zany, fast-paced world of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, 1968 to 1973, the iconic comedy show that broke all the rules with its rapid-fire sketches, unforgettable catchphrases, and a cast that became household names. While the series brought endless laughter and defined an era of television, some of the talented actors who made it legendary have tragically passed away over the years. From breakout stars to familiar faces who brightened every episode, their untimely losses serve as a poignant reminder of life's fragility. Join us as we remember and celebrate the actors who brought so much humor, charm, and unforgettable energy to the small screen. Dan Rowan was born on July 22, 1922, and became the co-host of Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In in 1968 at the age of 46, establishing himself as the suave, composed, straight man to Dick Martin's chaotic comedy. His on-screen persona of calm authority allowed him to anchor the show's rapid-fire, anarchic sketches, giving viewers a reliable counterbalance amid absurdity. Rowan's early life was marked by tragedy and hardship. Orphaned at age 11, he endured a childhood of instability, moving between relatives, facing financial deprivation, and developing a habit of masking vulnerability behind charm and wit. These formative experiences forged his resilience, but also contributed to a private life riddled with insecurities that he worked tirelessly to conceal. His career in entertainment, while successful, was punctuated by controversies and intense behind-the-scenes rivalries. Most famously, a bitter feud with Peter Marshall over hosting rights for Hollywood Squares, which revealed a side of him willing to aggressively protect his professional territory. Rowan also navigated the pressures of post-Laugh-In projects that failed spectacularly, with one particularly disastrous variety show nearly bankrupting him and threatening his reputation. His personal life mirrored professional turbulence. Multiple marriages ended acrimoniously, with affairs occasionally spilling into public awareness, and he struggled to maintain meaningful relationships amid the pressures of fame and a demanding work ethic. Rowan faced long-term psychological strain, battling depression and the shadows of early childhood loss, which compounded after his career setbacks. He died on September 22, 1987 in Englewood, Florida, at 65 from lymphoma, leaving behind an estate valued between $3 to $5 million, including earnings from television, investments, and residuals. Despite his personal and professional struggles, Rowan's legacy remains as the measured counterbalance of one of the most innovative and influential comedy programs of his era. A man whose on-screen poise concealed the scars of a tumultuous life and whose influence shaped television humor for decades. Gary Owens was born on May 10, 1934, and assumed the role of announcer for Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In in 1968 at 34, delivering surreal, deadpan commentary with a baritone voice that became instantly recognizable and a defining feature of the show's comedic identity. His character brought a metatextual absurdity, often uttering nonsensical lines with utmost seriousness, creating a perfect foil for the program's rapid-fire sketches and anarchic energy. Owens's childhood was shaped by both health challenges and emotional adversity. Diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at age 8, he faced constant medical supervision and the anxieties of a chronic condition, while navigating family instability that fostered both self-reliance and a lifelong streak of eccentric humor. Professionally, Owens became a prolific voice actor and radio personality, lending his talents to numerous cartoons including Space Ghost, Blue Falcon, and The Herculoids. But he often contended with the industry's capricious nature, typecasting, and the ephemeral popularity of radio and animated shows, requiring constant adaptation to maintain relevance. Despite a career largely free from scandal, Owens's perfectionism and insistence on comedic precision occasionally caused friction with colleagues and producers, highlighting a private intensity beneath his publicly genial persona. His personal life reflected a deliberate focus on craft rather than spectacle. Relationships were limited, and he often prioritized work over family or social visibility, creating a life that, while stable in terms of health management and financial planning, was marked by solitude. Owens's greatest professional challenges came during periods when the popularity of animation waned, forcing him to continually innovate and diversify to maintain steady employment. He passed away on February 12, 2015, in Encino, California, at 80 from complications of type 1 diabetes, leaving behind an estate estimated at $10 million from voice work, residuals, and radio engagements. Alan Suze, born March 7, 1926 in Ross, California, joined Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1968 at age 42, becoming one of the show's most flamboyant and unforgettable regulars. He inhabited campy, larger-than-life personas like Big Al the Sportscaster and Uncle Al the Kiddie's Pal, delivering outrageous humor that toyed with gender norms and surreal absurdity, leaving audiences simultaneously shocked and delighted. Suze's childhood was shaped by a conservative, emotionally restrained household, where his precocious comedic tendencies were often ridiculed, forcing him to develop a sharp wit and a private inner world to shield himself from judgment. Professionally, he struggled with typecasting, and though Laugh-In catapulted him to fame, Hollywood's reticence toward openly flamboyant performers limited his post-show opportunities, creating a career punctuated by brief flashes of visibility interspersed with long periods of obscurity. Off-screen, Suze navigated the pressures of being a closeted gay man in an era of rigid norms, carefully curating his public image while engaging in theater and voice work that allowed greater freedom of expression. Friends reported that he could be mercurial, occasionally alienating directors or co-stars who failed to appreciate his unconventional style, though he avoided major scandals and legal conflicts. Personal relationships were complicated. His sexual orientation had to be concealed, and the need for privacy sometimes fostered loneliness. Health issues in his later years compounded the emotional weight of a life spent balancing authenticity with public expectation. Alan Suze passed away on December 1, 2011, in West Hollywood at 85 from cardiac arrest. His estate, including property and royalties from Laugh-In and theater work, was valued between $1 to $2 million. Though not a tabloid figure, Suze left a legacy as a fearless, pioneering comedian whose courage to perform with unabashed eccentricity broke boundaries and inspired future generations of performers. Dick Martin was born on January 30, 1922, and joined Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1968 at the age of 46, playing the zany, flirtatious half of the iconic duo whose mischievous energy and wink-filled delivery became a signature of the show. His character thrived on chaos, risque humor, and playful sexual innuendo, often offsetting Rowan's composure with unpredictability, making Martin an essential engine of the series' irreverent appeal. Martin's childhood was defined by illness and vulnerability, having battled tuberculosis as a teen, which left him with only one functioning lung, an early brush with mortality that shaped both his bold comic persona and private insecurities. Professionally, Martin experienced highs and lows. While his work on Laugh-In cemented his fame, several post-show ventures faltered amid creative disputes and network pressures, highlighting the difficulty of translating short-form sketch success into other formats. He had a colorful personal life marked by multiple marriages, a son from a non-marital relationship, and occasional flirtations with tabloid notoriety, though he largely avoided the more severe scandals that afflicted contemporaries. His risque humor occasionally sparked criticism and controversy, testing the boundaries of acceptable television content and reflecting a lifelong willingness to court public attention for comedic effect. Martin also faced periods of isolation and physical vulnerability as he aged, confronting chronic respiratory issues while maintaining a career in directing and occasional performance. He passed away on May 24, 2008, in Santa Monica, California, at 86 from respiratory failure, leaving an estate estimated at $15 million, derived from decades of comedy, television work, directing, and residuals. Martin's life and career exemplify the balancing act between public exuberance and private vulnerability, showcasing a man who made millions laugh while navigating chronic health limitations, personal complications, and the mercurial demands of Hollywood entertainment, leaving a legacy defined by irreverence, charm, and enduring influence on comedic television. Arte Johnson, born January 20, 1929, in Benton Harbor, Michigan, became a central figure of Laugh-In in 1968 at age 39, creating some of television's most indelible comic characters, including the lecherous Tyrone F. Horney and the bumbling German soldier Wolfgang, whose catchphrase, "very interesting," became part of pop culture lexicon. Johnson's characters thrived on absurdity, sly improvisation, and the fearless exploitation of societal taboos, making him indispensable to the show's satirical, rapid-fire style. His early years were marked by instability and loss, growing up during the Great Depression in a household struggling financially, with a father often absent due to work, and a mother who demanded conformity, leaving Johnson to mask insecurities with humor and mimicry. In Hollywood, he faced subtle resistance, often being pigeonholed into comic side roles despite his versatility. Rumors circulated of tense encounters with producers over creative control and scripted lines, though he largely avoided public scandal. Johnson's personal life included multiple relationships and a few failed marriages, complicated by the demands of a rigorous television schedule and a constant need for artistic recognition. Health challenges emerged in later life, including battles with bladder and prostate cancer that he faced privately for years, reflecting a lifelong tendency to endure suffering away from the public eye. He also excelled in voice work for animation and audiobooks, demonstrating a relentless commitment to craft. Arte Johnson died on July 3, 2019, in Los Angeles at age 90, after a 3-year struggle with cancer. His estate, accumulated from decades of television, stage, and voice performances, was estimated at $3 to $5 million. Johnson's influence remains potent. A master of comedic timing and character work, whose fearless absurdity and precision carved a permanent place in television history. Henry Gibson was born on September 21, 1935, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and at age 33 he joined Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1968, portraying the parson and becoming immortalized as the poet, delivering satirical, politically tinged verses from behind oversized props with a mock Southern lilt. Gibson's on-screen persona was wry, cerebral, and deceptively gentle, providing a cutting edge to the show's chaotic, fast-paced humor while remaining intellectually sharp. Off-screen, however, his life blended discipline and eccentricity. Raised in a middle-class household overshadowed by a distant father and an overbearing mother, he experienced early childhood anxieties and a keen sense of social observation that fueled both his humor and his introverted tendencies. Gibson's career was marked by persistent diligence but occasional setbacks. He clashed with producers over creative control, faced the sting of being typecast as the poet in both television and film, and quietly endured Hollywood's politics that often undervalued his sharp wit. He maintained a reputation for intellectual rigor and professionalism, avoiding scandal, though whispers circulated about his intensely private nature and occasional temper during rehearsals. Gibson also served in the Air Force, where he excelled in intelligence work, an experience that shaped his disciplined approach to acting, yet left him prone to solitary reflection. Personal life challenges included the difficulty of balancing fame with privacy, a somewhat elusive love life, and the ever-present pressure to remain relevant in an industry that frequently moved past cerebral performers. He faced additional struggles with health in later life, managing the decline that comes with age while staying intellectually engaged and creatively active. Gibson died on September 14, 2009, in Malibu, California, just shy of his 74th birthday. His estate, estimated between $2 to $3 million, comprised real estate holdings, acting residuals, and royalties, reflecting a lifetime of work that was rich in influence and artistic contribution rather than flamboyant wealth, leaving behind a legacy of sharp satire and understated brilliance. Byron Gilliam, born November 3, 1940, in Gary, Indiana, joined Laugh-In 1968 at age 28 as a regular performer and dancer, contributing energy, rhythm, and charisma to the show's rapid-fire musical and dance sequences. Though often in the background, his presence was vital to the program's vibrant, kinetic atmosphere, helping define its signature chaotic style. Gilliam's upbringing in a working-class Midwestern family was marked by modest means and frequent financial stress, which instilled resilience but also a sense of self-effacement. He endured teasing for his aspirations in performing arts and learned early to hide vulnerability behind discipline and stoicism. His career, though brief, was intense, appearing in 66 episodes between 1968 and 1972. He achieved moderate fame but struggled with the transition to other entertainment avenues, ultimately retiring in 1975. Unlike many of his colleagues, Gilliam avoided controversy. There were no publicized scandals, legal disputes, or personal crises, and he remained largely private about his personal life, which reportedly included quiet struggles with health and maintaining personal relationships after leaving show business. After retiring, he returned to Wisconsin, living a subdued life far from the spotlight, reflecting a deliberate choice to distance himself from Hollywood's pressures. Byron Gilliam passed away on November 22, 1990, in Wisconsin at age 50 from cancer. His modest estate, estimated at $100,000 to $200,000, consisted primarily of savings and residuals from his Laugh-In tenure. Though his career was brief, his contributions to the show's unique energy and pace left an indelible imprint on one of television's most innovative comedy programs, a testament to a performer who thrived quietly behind the limelight yet shaped the spirit of an era. Judy Carne was born on April 27, 1939, in Northampton, England, and joined Laugh-In 1967 at age 28, becoming an emblematic performer with her playful, cheeky catchphrase, "Sock it to me," and her willingness to endure comical assaults and drenches for comic effect. Her on-screen persona was mischievous, bold, and irreverent, epitomizing the show's experimental, boundary-pushing style while providing a visual and comedic magnetism that captivated audiences. Off-screen, Carne's life was tumultuous and darkly contrasting her bubbly television image. She struggled with heroin addiction throughout her adult life, leading to arrests, jail time, and periods of deep personal isolation. Her stormy marriage to Burt Reynolds, brief and scandalous, exposed the fragility of her private life under public scrutiny. Carne also candidly revealed in her autobiography her struggles with bisexuality, fame, and long-standing trauma rooted in a childhood of emotional neglect and intermittent ridicule, which contributed to her later self-destructive behaviors. Despite moments of reinvention, she never fully escaped the shadow of early fame, and Hollywood's tendency to typecast her as the irreverent, sexualized figure limited her professional options. Her later years were quiet, spent away from the spotlight, coping with the lingering effects of addiction and aging. She died on September 3, 2015, in Northampton, at age 76 from pneumonia. Her net worth was estimated between $500,000 to $1 million, reflecting early television earnings and occasional residuals, yet far below what her fame might suggest, highlighting a life of brilliance, excess, and personal struggle whose echoes lingered long after her "sock it to me" persona faded from public view. Richard Dawson, born November 20, 1932 in Gosport, England, joined Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In in 1968 at age 36, bringing a magnetic blend of British wit, impeccable timing, and theatrical versatility to sketches that ranged from sharp impersonations of Groucho Marx to exaggerated parodies of Sherlock Holmes. His characters were often flamboyant, yet precise, making him a standout performer amid the show's ensemble chaos, and audiences were drawn to both his intelligence and charisma. Yet Dawson's childhood was fraught with instability and social marginalization. Growing up in wartime England, he experienced material scarcity and the constant shadow of a turbulent family life, forcing him to develop a performative persona to gain attention and approval. Professionally, Dawson's career saw both meteoric highs and glaring lows. Off-screen, he courted controversy as the "kissing bandit" on Family Feud, an endearing yet widely criticized habit of kissing female contestants, fueling debates over consent decades before such discussions became mainstream. His marriages, including unions with actress Diana Dors and later Gretchen Johnson, were punctuated by public disputes, financial tension, and rumors of infidelity that kept tabloids interested. Dawson also endured professional setbacks, including being typecast in television and struggling to regain the theatrical respect he longed for. He passed away from complications of esophageal cancer on June 2, 2012, in Los Angeles at age 79, leaving behind an estate surprisingly modest at $100,000 despite decades in the public eye, highlighting the dissonance between celebrity perception and private reality, and leaving a legacy entwined with both charm and scandal. Johnny Brown, born June 11, 1937, in St. Petersburg, Florida, took on his role in Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In in 1968 at age 31, quickly becoming a familiar and beloved presence in the show's rapid-fire sketches. On screen, Brown's expressive face, infectious smile, and musical talent gave life to jovial, soulful characters that contrasted with the show's biting satire, allowing audiences to connect emotionally amid the chaos of humor. Behind the charm, Brown's childhood was marked by economic hardship and a volatile home environment. He grew up in a segregated community, facing repeated taunts and social exclusion that forced him to develop a resilient, witty persona as a survival mechanism. His path to Laugh-In was neither smooth nor guaranteed. He endured countless failed auditions, early dismissals from nightclub acts, and the constant anxiety of being typecast as a comic sidekick. Though Brown maintained a reputation for warmth and professionalism, he privately battled insecurities and the fear of being overshadowed by bigger stars, famously missing out on the role of Lamont in Sanford and Son because of his commitment to Laugh-In, a career opportunity that might have elevated his profile significantly. His personal life carried its own complexities. Brown had long-term relationships tested by the demands of touring and performance, and while no public scandals marked his life, insiders noted a persistent struggle to balance fame with family, often sacrificing personal time to maintain his career. Later years brought medical concerns, including heart issues, culminating in his passing from cardiac arrest shortly after a pacemaker checkup on March 2, 2022, in Los Angeles at age 84. At death, his estate consisted of modest real estate, performance royalties, and personal memorabilia, totaling approximately $2 million, a testament to steady, disciplined work that left a legacy of laughter and soul, even as private challenges quietly shaped the man behind the smile. Teresa Graves, born January 10, 1948, in Houston, Texas, joined Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1969 at age 21, bringing a vivacious presence as a performer whose blend of music, dance, and biting cultural satire electrified the screen. Her character exuded confidence, style, and a fearless approach to comedy, captivating audiences with both charm and intellect at a time when African-American women were rarely given such prominent roles in mainstream sketch shows. Graves's early life was marked by economic hardship and instability. Her family struggled financially, and she endured teasing and exclusion from peers, learning early to conceal frustration and cultivate resilience. Her career, while groundbreaking, was not without its hurdles. She faced repeated typecasting, intense pressure to maintain a particular public image, and the pervasive racial and gender biases of 1970s Hollywood. Behind the scenes, she was known to clash subtly with producers over creative control, and there were whispered tensions on set, with colleagues over the allocation of screen time, though no formal scandals emerged. Personal life challenges were profound. Her decision to retire from acting in 1983 to devote herself to her faith as a Jehovah's Witness surprised many, reflecting a retreat from the pressures and betrayals of the entertainment industry. Stability was fragile throughout her life, with episodes of financial strain and the constant weight of navigating an industry hostile to women of color. Teresa Graves died tragically on October 10, 2002, at 54 in Los Angeles due to a house fire caused by a faulty space heater. Her estate, modest but carefully managed, was valued between $500,000 and $1 million, encompassing savings, property, and residuals. And while her career was relatively brief, her pioneering presence left an enduring cultural impact, remembered both for talent and the personal courage behind the scenes. Larry Hovis, born February 20, 1936, in Wapato, Washington, became a regular on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1967 at age 31, contributing both musical talent and sharp comedic timing that amplified the show's fast-paced, irreverent humor. His characters were quirky, clever, and often self-aware, and he occasionally collaborated as a writer, shaping some of the sketches that became iconic in the series' run. Hovis's childhood was marked by frequent relocation and financial instability, growing up in a modest household that struggled to support his artistic inclinations, and facing derision from peers that forced him to cultivate resilience and humor as survival tools. His professional journey included notable achievements, but also setbacks. While he thrived on Laugh-In, he became embroiled in a minor scandal when Fox fired him from Totally Hidden Video for using paid actors in segments marketed as candid, raising questions about ethics in entertainment. Hovis battled the common vices of the industry: including the pressure of fame, occasional alcohol use, and the stress of balancing, performing with writing and teaching commitments. Personal life challenges included failed relationships and periods of estrangement from close friends due to his intense focus on career projects. In later years, he dedicated himself to education, teaching drama, and mentoring younger performers, which restored some sense of stability and purpose. Larry Hovis passed away on September 9, 2003, in Austin, Texas, from esophageal cancer at age 67. At the time of his death, his estate, including modest real estate, royalties, and personal savings, was valued between $500,000 and $1 million, a reflection of a career that intertwined creative triumphs, occasional scandal, and a life devoted to the art of comedy. Dave Madden, born December 17, 1931, in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada, became a familiar figure on Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1968 at age 37, portraying his iconic sad sack persona with a blend of dry humor, physical comedy, and absurdist timing that made confetti-throwing and milk-drinking sketches enduring classics. Madden's characters, often downtrodden yet oddly endearing, reflected his subtle ability to infuse vulnerability into comedy, providing a counterbalance to the show's frenetic pace. His early years were marked by personal instability, with his family relocating frequently and economic hardship fostering both resilience and a penchant for self-deprecating humor as a coping mechanism. Professionally, he enjoyed steady work, but faced the occasional setback, being overlooked for more prominent roles in dramatic projects, navigating typecasting, and managing the pressures of live sketch comedy that often left performers exhausted and creatively frustrated. Madden's personal life was quieter, though he experienced occasional stress balancing family, career, and the mentorship he provided to younger colleagues, notably taking in Danny Bonaduce during the latter's turbulent youth. He maintained a reputation for kindness and reliability, avoiding major scandals, but he privately contended with health challenges and the gradual decline of opportunities for performers of his generation. Dave Madden passed away on January 16, 2014, in Jacksonville, Florida, at age 82 from complications of myelodysplastic syndrome. His estate, estimated between $2 and $3 million, included royalties from television appearances, property holdings, and accumulated savings, reflecting a life of sustained, understated achievement that combined humor, generosity, and the endurance of a performer navigating the shifting currents of Hollywood. Jeremy Lloyd, born July 22, 1930, in Danbury, Essex, England, joined Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In 1969 at age 39, injecting the show with a distinctly British sensibility, eccentricity, and theatricality that elevated sketches into playful satire of class, romance, and absurdity. His characters, flamboyant, witty, often literary, showcased his love for performance and intellectual humor, bridging American and European comedic traditions and leaving an indelible mark on audiences through his sharp timing and distinctive persona. Lloyd's childhood was shaped by post-war austerity, parental absence due to work pressures, and early exposure to social snubbing, which instilled both resilience and a private sense of social misfit that he later channeled into performance. His professional path was multifaceted, including occasional clashes with producers over creative control, the pressures of maintaining transatlantic relevance, and a highly publicized near miss with tragedy, having been invited to Sharon Tate's residence on the night of the Manson murders. A haunting brush with fate that lingered throughout his life. Personal relationships were complex. A brief marriage to Joanna Lumley ended in divorce, and he navigated romantic entanglements with discretion, but not without gossip and speculation in the tabloids. Despite these challenges, Lloyd excelled as a writer and creator, co-developing Are You Being Served? And Allo Allo, cementing his reputation as a master of comedy writing. He died on December 23, 2014, in London at age 84 from pneumonia. His estate, estimated between $5 and $10 million, included intellectual property rights, residuals from television work, and personal assets, reflecting a career marked by both creative triumph and the subtle shadows of personal and professional risk, leaving a legacy that combined genius, eccentricity, and resilience in the unforgiving landscape of entertainment. Thank you for watching as we reflected on the lives and legacies of the actors from Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, who are no longer with us. Their humor, charm, and unforgettable performances brought joy to millions and helped shape the show into a classic. While their journeys ended far too soon, their impact lives on through every scene, every laugh, and every memory they've left behind. As we honor their lives, we're reminded of how deeply television can touch our hearts. Join us next time as we look back at more stars who left us too soon, but whose stories continue to shine.